U.S. Senate is looking at possibly approving a U.S. House measure to rescind public funding for a whole host of things, including public media. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. The $9.4 billion rescissions request looks to aim a $1.1 billion cut for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, including $700 million that provides critical funding, supporters say, for local public media. All right, so here we are in Illinois. The Center Square is a nonprofit newswire service. We are funded by donations. We don't get grants from the state of Illinois to fund operations. So you've got, the difference between public media and non-public media. The Center Square being a nonprofit newswire service, an education-based organization, that's different than, say, the National Public Radio, which is a public broadcasting station that gets funding from state and federal government, plus funding from universities they may be associated with. So, understanding the media landscape, right? But you've got the issues around whether or not a particular media is biased, and that's going to be up to an individual consumer of that media to determine the bias. And there's charts and stuff online that can help kind of, point you in the right direction. Adfontes is one of them that you can search the Adfontes website for media bias for certain organizations. And you'll be able to find that information. So we may take a look at that here. But so this measure coming about because of the Department of Government Efficiency and the efforts of Elon Musk and his crew to evaluate public funding for a host of things, everything from USAID to public broadcasting. And this measure that's in front of the U.S. Senate now, as it's been highlighted by the House Oversight Committee when they passed it, they said on X a couple of weeks ago, NPR and PBS equals defunded, check mark. The House just passed President Trump's rescissions package, enacting DOGE cuts to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Tax dollars will not go toward indoctrinating children with radical leftist ideology. Senate GOP, it's your turn to act. So this week they've been debating that, and it's expected next week they may be voting on this in the U.S. Senate to rescind, again, $9.4 billion altogether, which includes about $1.1 billion for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. U.S. Senator Dick Durbin yesterday on the Senate floor explained what a rescission is and the purpose of it.
So money appropriated by Congress, signed by a president, sent to the administration, they decide they're not going to spend, they're going to rescind it, a rescission bill. So here comes President Trump's first rescission bill in his second term. And what does he come up with? This request would cut $1.1 billion from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Do you listen to public radio, public TV? Are you aware of what it does for your community? This would eliminate any federal assistance for a Corporation for Public Broadcasting. It includes $700 million that's eliminated to provide critical funding for local public media. This would devastate more than 1,500 public radio and TV stations across this country.
I'd be curious to know, at least from those who listen live or even who are going to watch this segment later on, you can comment below either on the live chat or in the replay of the segment. And I'm curious if you guys watch NPR, listen to NPR, if you read what their reporting is, and just to gauge at least, media consumption in general. So obviously it's something tax dollars help support, and it provides what Durbin said was a lot of important resources for local communities.
What it means is for small towns in downstate Illinois, all the way up to Chicago, and the classrooms there, public media stations provide essential, nonpartisan news coverage, life-saving emergency and weather alerts, an educational program for our kids.
And he says if that ends, if the funding doesn't go to these local public media outlets, then they may have to turn off the airwaves.
These public funded local stations educate our kids, deliver emergency alerts, and inform our democracy. They're not an unnecessary expense by any measure. They're a lifeline.
So Durbin obviously opposing any federal cuts to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and how that's, he says, is going to impact local access to information and weather alerts and the such. But here is Durbin talking about how he believes that these corporations of public broadcasting affiliates like NPR, and we've got several in Illinois, WILL-TV, that's operated by the U of I. You've got the WSIU, operated by Southern Illinois University, WEIU, it's Eastern Illinois University, WGLT, that's Illinois State University, WUIS, that's the University of Illinois Springfield, and then you've got Tri-States Public Radio, which is Western Illinois University. Did go through all of their financial reports this morning and break down for you a little bit of how much they're getting from various public resources. But when it comes to the partisan issue, that's one reason why I think the president, Donald Trump, has had this mission to defund the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, because he believes that they are a partisan organization. Durbin says the local affiliates aren't.
GLT had 100% bipartisan participation from candidates in McLean County municipal election event. In McLean County, municipal voter turnout has increased in local elections thanks to this public broadcasting station. For the president to say they're politically biased is just plain false.
Now, if you look at the Adventist website for PBS NewsHour, it's one of their programs, you can see here that they give it a bias of minus 8.68%. And that gives it a little bit of a left-leaning bias. So, yeah, bias scores, you've got closer to zero being minimally biased, equally biased, or exhibiting a centrist bias. So if it's closer to zero, higher negative scores being more left, higher positive scores being more right. As you can see, a more left-leaning bias. NPR also from Adventist, a bias to the left of 4.2. So you can see just some of the at least third-party organizations that evaluate media bias, and those are just two of the various outlets that there are, the national ones. But let's take a look at some of the public documents. How much, right? So we're talking rescissions of $1.1 billion for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting nationwide, and we're talking $700 million that could be going to local public media outlets across the country. Well, just how much do local outlets in Illinois receive? I was able to go through the financial reports for Illinois Public Media, which is through the U of I. We'll pull this up. Just looking at these briefly this morning here, these are public documents you can go find. So this is for recent fiscal year, and it goes down to show how much they're bringing in and how much they're taking out, and how much they're getting from federal Corporation for Public Broadcasting dollars and how much they're getting from state appropriations. So you can see here, non-operating revenues, they're getting $1.2 million from state appropriations. You've got contributions at $3.3 million. That's for non-operating revenues. You look at the operating revenues, and you've got those are net positions. The operating revenues as well, when you look at the University of Illinois' public media outlet, they get $192,000 from state and other government grants. They get $1.7 million from the community service grants through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Non-operating, they get $1.2 million, and from contributions, $3.3 million. So you're talking, millions of dollars in state and federal tax dollars that are going to the University of Illinois Public Media. WSIU, looking at their financial statements, and again, you can search these yourself. They have to publish these financial statements as a public entity. And WSIU and state grants, they got about $540,000, with $2.9 million coming from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting community service grants, so $2.9 million. But then, since it's associated with the university also provides $770,000. And again, that's Southern Illinois University, a public university, giving $770,000 on top of the nearly $3 million that the federal government gives, and the $540,000 the state gives to WSIU in Southern Illinois. Now, Southern Illinois University had a $3 million loss in operating costs, $3 million operating loss, but their overall net position with their assets and everything was $6.1 million in the positive. Western Illinois University, WEIU, they have their public documents as well. WGLT didn't have the most recent audited financials on their website. If you go to their audits and annual reports, WGLT, which, by the way, this is the one that Durbin talked about being nonpartisan. Financial audits only go up to 2018 on their website, so I'll have to reach out to their financial office to see if they have those documents. WUIS, the NPR affiliate at the University of Illinois Springfield, they get $214,000 from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting for operation costs. State and other grants, they get about $50,000. But net operating loss is $1.3 million. Now, non-operating, they get $250,000 from the state and $141,000 in university administrative support. Net position there is $2.5 million at the end of the year. Tri-States Public Radio, that's Western Illinois University's public radio outlets. They get $63,000 from the state. Corporation for Public Broadcasting gives them $159,000. Net operating loss altogether with all incoming and outgoing for operations, $1.2 million loss. Now, the non-operating income, they get about $126,000 from the state and $220,000 for administrative support. So that gives you just a general idea. Bigger public media outlets in Illinois are getting millions of dollars from state and federal tax funds. Smaller ones getting, $1 million plus or so in operating costs. And they do have, supporters that give them funds outside of state and federal grants, and that as well is part of the overall, consideration here when it comes to just how much money these particular organizations are getting from tax dollars versus private donations. So how this plays out, obviously down the line, with Senator Durbin sharing his thoughts and others also, we're standing up in opposition in the U.S. Senate to these rescissions of $1.1 billion for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, but that's all part of a $9+ billion rescissions package. Now, in the overall scheme of things, $9 billion. When we're facing, a $38 trillion national deficit, it's, I guess, less than a drop in the bucket. But you've got efforts from some conservative Republicans saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and find as much spending they say is non-essential as possible. But Senator Durbin in Illinois disagrees. So the Corporation for Public Broadcasting could see a significant amount of dollars stripped from it from the federal government. What that could possibly mean for a state like Illinois, and this is something that's been raised even by, the whole abortion conversation, because if you go to thecentersquare.com, you will see a story where people are concerned about a cut of federal funds for abortion providers in the One Big Beautiful Bill. Of course, Planned Parenthood's concerned about it, but you've got others who, like the Illinois Family Institute, David Smith, saying that he's worried that this is going to mean more state tax dollars going to pay for abortions in Illinois. If the federal government's not going to use federal tax dollars for that, then the state is, some are speculating, going to increase the amount of state tax funds for that. It could possibly be the same thing for public media. If the state of Illinois and legislative leaders come together and say we need to give tax dollars to public media, they could just increase that line item from the state coffers to public media. So is that possibly what we're going to see happen? A lot of impacts from the Trump administration, the Republicans in Congress. Are they good impacts? Are they bad impacts? Obviously, that's going to be up to you, the individual taxpayer, to determine that. So we'll leave that quality assessment, that value assessment, up to you. All right, it is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning here as we bring you the latest in Illinois. It is the doldrums of summer, so that's just one thing you gotta keep in mind with the news business. Sometimes things are pretty slow out there, especially when everybody's on vacation after a pretty raucous time over in Congress, and obviously we had a lot of activity at the Illinois State House before they adjourned spring session at the end of May. All right, have a great day. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. Don't forget to get the headlines in your inbox at thecentersquare.com, where you can also find the podcasts each and every weekday morning here, not just live on YouTube, but you can get the entirety of the show in podcast form, so you can listen while you're driving around as well if you're out on summer break. All right, again, thecentersquare.com. This is Illinois in Focus Daily.